morning, my lovely, and you come. You want the seat back? Oh, you didn't? Oh, wow.
So you'll need to let me know if it's alright.
Oh, right. Oh, wow. How did you know? How did you know?
You said it.
Oh, did I?
I wasn't.
I'm already thinking
I wasn't
tuning
cycling.
in.
I wasn't cycling. Psychically tuning in.
It's lovely to
Good
meet
morning.
you.
It's nice to
Good
meet you.
morning, Monique. The minute I saw you, I'm like, have I seen you before? Have I been at an event or something that you've been at? Because I didn't recognise you for your picture.
Right.
But I'm thinking that now. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you.
You'll need to let me know if it's alright, because
Aye,
no,
it totally is.
No, I mean like no damage.
Oh, it's no, aye,
no
we'll
opened
have
it
to
or
put it
anything.
so that it's alright. Don't want to put that in there.
Aye,
That's
it's
fine.
well, I mean, I have done a few events, but I
You
don't
look
know
amazing.
if
Love
you
your
would
nails.
have.
Show your nails. Show your nails. Look at these. Oh my god,
I
amazing.
don't know if you would have.
I definitely recognise
I've not
you.
done a lot
Have
through
you-
Cumbernauld way.
Glasgow. Have you done things in Glasgow?
Shettleston, but ages
I
ago.
don't know, maybe. It's supposed to be better tell people that. How do you describe yourself? A psychic medium?
The thing that I always say that I know 100% am is clairvoyant.
Right, clairvoyant.
So I call myself a clairvoyant because I know that I use that the most.
That's your, right.
But I'm a medium, so I connect to spirit. Oh God, so many things.
So many things. We
Aye,
will
so
talk
many
about
things,
that.
aye.
But first of all, let's go and get a coffee. Please tell me that it is somewhere in Denny. Is there no? We're going to have to go all the way back to Cumbernauld, which is fine. It's not
unless
that
you just
far.
want to grab water and.
I'm not bothered. I always get people
I know
with
you always
coffee.
get.
That's
I
what
know.
I do.
That's what I was worried
So,
about. But there isn't a
no,
drive. There's no
I
drive
know.
through.
But it doesn't matter. Let's just go. It's only 10
Aye.
minutes to Cumbernauld. But just keep me right, because I've had to put the sat nav off because obviously we're recording, so I can't have the sat nav on to keep me right on
Aye,
the way
so-
back. So I
So
take
really,
it.
you
Can I
want
do?
to just head to like Asda Cumbernauld sort of thing that way.
Aye, right. I asked
Aye.
Cumbernauld the Costa drive
Right,
through.
well,
So do
that's
you
fine.
know
I
how to get there? Right,
Right,
that
so
is
that's
fine.
fine.
Perfect,
Hopefully it
we'll
didn't
do
get
that.
us lost. If it didn't
So,
go away.
I'm assuming I'm just going down this
Aye, you're
road because
just
this is the one I
going
came
turning
up. So clairvoyant then.
Clairvoyance.
That's your
means-
main thing. But I know,
That's my main thing. I mean, people like me and other people, like just in general, will have all these skills. Some of them become shut down through whatever,
Yes.
a million and one reasons. And then obviously they activate. It's not like I woke up one day and went, oh, I think I'm going to be a medium.
It takes time,
Well, just the full journey that was, it was like something that just started happening. So you're going right. You're
Oh,
coming
right.
Mm-hmm.
I came up this way.
Oh,
I was
did
just
you?
going to go back the way I came. But you,
Cumbernauld?
aye, that's the way the sat nav brought me
Right,
past
okay,
Sainsbury's, because I
right.
thought to myself, how can this place have a Sainsbury's and not have a coffee place?
I know.
But that's fine, so totally keep me right. I don't have any idea
Right,
where I'm
that's
going.
fine. I'll show you where you're going.
So,
So the I suppose what happened, the things started happening in my life to make me recognise that I was having to look into this more, obviously. So that it would be just maybe could be sitting talking to somebody, my friends or my family, and I would start talking about something and they would say, oh, why are you saying that? That's just happened yesterday, or things like that.
they didn't know that you knew anything like that.
I mean, people, like I've got good friends who've known me all the way through this journey, so knew that I would come out with things and stuff like that. And I suppose in the beginning it's just a wee bit like, oh right, that's a wee bit funny, that's a wee bit spooky. And then I suppose I started seeing energy really different. So I would be, just for example, out and about or in a shop, and I would see people's loved ones beside them and things like that. So I knew I had to address it because it wasn't actually mentally very good. It wasn't mentally good for me, if you know what I mean. It was not really mentally good for anybody because you're trying to figure out, right, what the hell's going on.
It's freaking you out.
It freaks you out.
Aye.
Your anxiety's peaking. You're trying to make sure you're not actually just schizophrenic or anything like that.
Which is a misdiagnosis for a lot of people that is connected issue.
Yeah. So I suppose that what happened after that is I just started kind of reading every person I could get my hands on, just got people to bring people
How long ago
to my
was
house.
that?
Oh God, right, well I've been self-employed for 2009, so a bit before that, when I would have just been probably at the practicing stage.
Easily 15 years then.
Aye, or maybe a wee bit longer if you count know the kind of practice stuff, or know the career, like officially a career, if you know what I mean. Or I don't, it's not really a career as such, it's just my life, it's my life. I can't think of anything else that I would, sometimes then again I think, right, I'm going to do something else, what will I do? And it's just complete blankness.
Am I going right?
You're going right up there, aye. So I kind of think that I'll just be doing this till I leave the planet. Now, to be fair. And I think it's once you really, like, for me, kind of commit to spirit, they're not really going to let you go. If I think you're doing maybe what I see would be good work, or realness for people.
So the reason I wanted to, and I do plan to have more than, well, I do want to do this regularly, have the whole spiritual conversation in my cab, different people, different aspects, blah blah blah. But more so right now, like without even talking about my own personal situation, just talking in general terms, the real pandemic is mental health, right? And loads and loads of people turn to spirituality because if you do any recovery program, I've talked about this before, it's all about connecting with spirituality. Now, that definition is, there is no definition, is what I'm trying to say, of what spirituality is. But when you identify what it is for you, you can totally tune into it. I mean, that's what worked for me. So
I think what happens is, there's so many, like, even if you follow anything or everywhere on media, the word spiritual's flung out there in so many, and it means so many different things. But it's basically your journey of self. It's your journey of self. It's got to be all about self, and it's about the internal work that you do, on working on yourself, on learning about yourself, on recognising your good sides, your bad sides, where you want to, as you say, grow, where you want to heal for. So to me, as spirituality is working on self. It's and using the energy, and using the knowledge, and using the connection to the universe in so many different ways. Like you could talk about every single topic for hours.
I know.
So you're going on to this roundabout, so you're turning right, following the signs for Glasgow. Obviously, you'll see it, but then you'll be cutting off. And it isn't far, but it's. I think for me, there becomes a time where you do the work, and then you really want to do the work, but talk the talk and do the work as well, if you know what I mean. And you're right, in the pandemic, so I was busy because I had to work online.
Oh, you'll still be mad busy. Because like I say, everybody's left.
And people they're looking at their therapies, they're looking at doctors, they're looking at services, and I maybe connect people to their loved ones, but there's so much more that I end up happens during a reading that you wouldn't even believe.
So that is, I know where I am now.
And I think because I've been attuned to Reiki, healing energy for 2005. I don't know if everybody will know bits about it. Maybe if you had some, I'm attuned to Yushai Reiki and Karuna. But point being is, energetically, what happens even when during a reading, you're just sharing all that energy with the person, and Reiki goes and does what it needs to do. It's not even. And you shouldn't even really be trying to make it do anything as the person channeling it. So there's a lot of kind of things I suppose when people shout things like I'm a healer and I'm a this, well okay, we are in a sense, but you're really just going to be giving people the tools to guide them to help to do the work themselves. Because you can't do the work for them.
And it is true saying as well, that everybody has the ability, like the whole medium thing.
100%
everybody
believe that.
has that. Oh,
It's the skills of just starting it and trusting yourself. I've got a wee group that I work with, and I do some teaching back and forward. It's something I would love to do more, because everybody's got the skills to be doing that. It's trusting yourself and trusting what you get, which can be absolutely nothing and something and everything. Trusting what you get can just be madness. Can be madness. Is some things I've said to people, and then went, what the heck am I even saying here? And having to trust myself, and then they're like, oh yep, that makes sense.
What I've found as well, when
so
people
bonkers.
are talking about it, like just talking about that bonkers thing, people talk about like connecting with spirit, as in people that have passed and whatever, or anything spiritual, universally, right? Usually online, when I see people talk about it that are just into it, they'll start off by saying, this is what makes me feel better. And I know everybody's into it, like almost as if justifying like that it's this madness.
Well,
and but the thing is, Monique,
why should it be?
But everybody's into it.
Everybody's into it.
Everybody says that, right? As if it's maybe back in the day when they were burning witches, right? That's when folk weren't into it.
They're
into it now.
The thing is, it's a wee bit like they want to use it when it suits them, eh? I suppose there's a sadness attached to a lot of things like that, though. But as you say, people in recovery, I don't mean they're jumping from one addiction to the next, but they need a focus. So they've got to find that focus, and why not make it that? Because
but it is that.
It is that. As I say, everybody, nobody thinks twice of going to the gym or working on their body or working on their mind. So why do we not work on our soul openly, freely? Talk about that. Because our soul is our soul. It's there, it knows everything. We're going to be with us just through all life.
I personally don't know anybody now that would say, I don't believe in all of that. I can't think. No, I know there must be people out there, but I personally don't know anybody.
I know. And there's quite a lot more men kind of step into the side of it now. I mean, I've only read, you could maybe just say a handful of men in all these years where it's just females, but now it's kind of stepping up a wee bit better, where men, it's usually the partners have dragged them for a reading. They've usually said, just because you read them, but nonetheless, so it is for everybody.
And definitely now in current times, right? So you've said that you've been absolutely mob chock-a-block since.
I mean, I didn't book out my diary for all, I'm not like all the other kind of local mediums where they book out their diary for a year in advance and things like that. You could I'm a few weeks in front, Ken. So generally, if somebody cancels, I can fit people in. But you know what I mean? But I'm happy with it like that, Mhairi, because it's like I didn't want to be booked up 6 months in advance and lost track of my diary for a start. But I trust that who I connect to is who I connect to.
Yes,
I trust that who walks through the door is meant to be. Can I have? I'm so excited because I've never come here and I didn't know what I'm wanting. But
I'll done mine first then. Can I have a medium coconut latte, please? And
I'll have just a skinny latte.
And a medium or large?
Medium.
Medium skinny latte, regular as well. Regular milk, I mean.
Right.
No, that's fine. You want anything else? No, that's fab, thank you. Just to tell people as well, Monique, because you're not on Instagram, you're on Facebook.
I'm on Facebook.
And so if people want to connect with you or contact you, is it right that it's through Facebook?
Yeah, they can contact me through Facebook, not a problem, aye.
But you will be able to share this video on your Facebook, the link to it for YouTube or Facebook. So that's fine. I just wanted to make sure people knew that. I actually saw a medium in Denny years ago as well. So there must be a few years in Denny.
Well, there's a well-known guy in Denny.
No, it was a woman.
Oh, it was an
older woman.
Oh, right, okay.
Ages ago though.
Right. When there's been a few, I went to a kind of wee group back in the day as well. She had a wee place in Denny. She's passed away. She was once somebody who I would
Wonder if that is who it was
I would
then.
say she was like my main teacher person at that
teach as
time.
well.
Aye.
I wonder
So
if it is the same
she's
person.
maybe her. She had a wee unit in Denny, and she really kind of flung me into my platform work and stuff like that, where she would just kind of go, right, just go up and do it. And you're like, right, okay.
And did anybody, see, just going back a wee bit where you were saying, we were talking about like mediumship being misdiagnosed as, you know, mental health, illness, whatever, or schizophrenia. Did that ever happen to you?
No, I actually took myself just to my doctor and just...
Did you?
I never said this is happening, but I just went, I want check for this and this. So I just flung myself right through the system when you could at the time. When they were just like, no, you're...
So he checked that you weren't mad, and then...
And I think what I've had to learn is a good balance in your real life. You've got to balance your real life. You can't be just cutting about open 24/7. Energetically,
you need to be able to cut it off.
Because let's face it, I've still got to make the dinner.
Do the dishes, do the washing. Have you got a family?
I've got 4 kids.
Have you?
They're a bit older now, so...
But you still need to be...
and my youngest is still in the house, even though he's 16. But I think as a parent, as well, it's maybe sometimes difficult. For your kids for what does your mum do? So it's quite a lot. I think it's like.
Has there ever been any issues with that? Where the kids
one of my sons used to just say, when are you going to get a real job? And now he's kind of...
That old chestnut does my box right in
when we get a real job. But now he's more kind of like, can you help me with this?
Exactly. This is what's happened with the world. And we need to stop saying. What one's that? All right, Fab, thank you. That's brilliant. Thanks so much. Oh, jeez. You too, thank you. Right,
sometimes
just go and pack over
I would avoid saying what I do if I was just meeting people, if you know what I mean. Because it's either a conversation stopper or starter.
Well, I would think people would jump on you saying, well, you need to tell us this, you need to tell us that.
And then there's the other side to that, like, well, you never saw that coming. How did you know about that in your life? And I think, again, mediums, or a lot of mediums I know, they've not had easy lives, so we get a lot of challenges, and I do think that's because we've to help others through the experiences. Sometimes I'd have something happen to me, and then the next person that walked through my door for a reading, that would be just happening to them. And it can just be practical advice that you're giving somebody. It can just be, well, actually, there's a phone number for there.
And you might need to do that.
And you might, do you know what I mean? It's not always.
And do people come to you when their mental health as well as kind of at their... Because for me personally, that was the fully... After I had Lola, so only in the last 10 years, say, that I really started to engage, if you like, massively with my own spirituality, purely because I had a lot of childhood trauma, which I've discovered was PTSD,
right?
That which I didn't know was the label for it, if you like. But that for me, I was offered antidepressants. No, I wasn't offered. Was it antidepressants? It maybe was. I can't remember. From the doctor, and I didn't accept it because I wanted to find another way of how, not that I'm saying that's wrong at all. And I'm all for, I'd rather somebody was alive than not. So I'm totally, but that was when I started to engage with it because I felt like I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
I was losing my mind, and that was for me a massive, it was part of my recovery.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it, that's what I would call it. Oh Jesus, my car's not even parked. Going to put us through the fence before I put the engine.
And
get comfy.
It is about I think all the things that you're talking about, and it's recognising it within yourself, and then I think sometimes labels are put on everything, as well, and you're trying to find yourself to fit in that label where it might not even be just as straight as that. But I get a lot of people with mental health. My background was nursing, although I never finished my training, but I had been in and around that environment, working in like where it used to be in Larbert, the RSNH, so I was in that kind of, as I say, I know a wee bit about it, so not that I'm saying I'm mentally qualified, but that's the road I was going down anyway. So it's quite interesting that I still ended up working with people, but in this way, because it's many things, and I'll say that to people when they come for a reading. A reading isn't just, okay, we're going to talk to wee Jeannie, your granny, even though that's nice. It's a lot. Sometimes it's about me kind of highlighting where they need to heal. They might show me, I might see things kind of even within the body, and it's not that I can diagnose medically or anything, but they'll sometimes show me a space or the energy, and I'm kind of like, right, I know what I have to do there, and I know how to have to explain that there. So there's a lot of different things that in between that, if I'm connecting, I get things, I always kind of, so many things going on in my brain, and maybe a visual happening at the same time. So I might be seeing somebody so-and-so standing there, and then I've got a picture of something else happening, and then they might be telling me that they're going to university in 3 weeks for this side of my brain. So there can be quite a lot going on at one time for me. And so then I've got to try and interpretate it sort of as fast as I can, and sometimes spirit get excited and they're all just like
because they're getting to get the message.
Sometimes people come for a reading and it turns into it's all about their sister or it's all about their brother, and because for whatever reason it's all about something else,
because that's just what they decide to bring through.
I can't go, please Ken, talk about this, although I think at times, because of the clairvoyance part as well, I will say to people, if I start bringing something up and you want to know more, ask me, because I can't really go back into that space. You couldn't message me at night and say, remember you said such and such a day, can you tell me what else that means? So I do find sometimes when people talk about something, they kind of open that up a wee bit more for me, and I get to see it. The FBI caught remote viewing. So
you know,
so it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's clear seeing. It's clairvoyance. It's anything to do with the third eye. Anything to do with the third eye is going to be visual. You can see with your eyes open, your eyes shut. We can meditate. It doesn't matter. It's clairvoyance. But they caught remote viewing. So I better hide for the FBI.
I know, and I was just going to touch on that point. I'll just touch on it because I don't want a barrage of people messaging me. But I am well aware that even in this country, that clairvoyants are engaged with for serious investigations. So it's no, it's no one of these things that's poo-pooed. It is very much recognised.
I mean, I've found some people have messaged me. Somebody recently asked me a message to find their wee cat. I had no luck with that, but I did find a dog for somebody once, obviously remotely. Them gave me kind of a map, etc. And we did locate where the dog was because I had got, but I maybe think that's wee cat's no. And so, but I couldn't really tune into it, and so I'm alright to go look. Whatever's happening today, I can't tune into that. I'm not getting the hun. I don't know the answers to everything. I'm not
just like everybody.
I'm not going to be sitting there going, oh well, that's definitely. I'm not a medium who will say, no, it must be that. I only know how I work with spirit. I only know how they have worked with me. So that's what I say to somebody. It doesn't matter if you've been to 5 other mediums. It's just like everything else. You're going to have a different experience. So I'm not going to work the same as whoever.
I do think.
But people come back to me, I think, because I've told them things that's happened. They've known about it, and then so I suppose you could say I predicted it, but I would never call myself a predictor or a fortune teller. Can't be naming myself these things. Am I clairvoyant? 100%. I can say that hand on heart. I know that. And have I told people things and then they've happened? I know that because they messaged me to tell me. Of course, there'll be as many people out there that say, well, you've told me this and that's not happened yet, and that's fair enough.
Aye. But there's loads of factors.
There is loads of factors. There's your life, your timing, there's a million and one things.
Aye. And you recognise that. And it's
Aye,
not like you're saying...
I'm not like
aye.
Heed in the clouds.
Aye. Saying I'm the big I am, whatever.
No,
you recognise you've got a gift.
Aye.
That actually everybody's got, but you've fine-tuned it a lot better than a lot of
and
people.
it's just like going to the gym. I use my clairvoyance every day, so it's the same. It's just using something, isn't it? The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it.
Aye.
And that's the way to go for people that want to learn. And there will be people that have signs, and when you're in alignment of your life, things will feel better, and you will get signs, and they will fling you in the right direction. It's quite a wee bit like, if you know you're no feeling right, usually something's no right.
Aye.
Your soul's no right. But a lot of us humans drag ourselves through the bushes backwards first
what we
before
do,
we face it.
I think what we do as well, talking for a personal experience, I can look at somebody, so I'm on Instagram, right, we'll just make it dead basic, and somebody follows me and I can know instantly good or bad feelings. Right? Instantly. Then, but what we do is, so if I get a bad gut feeling, right, you ignore it. You go, well, okay, that's fine, I've ignored that, you're in. But then what happens is, all the time, something happens, a message or a comment or whatever, right, and you go, I knew that about you. I knew, you know, that's what we do. But the thing is, Monique, you can't go, like, I think to myself, I can't go through my life blocking absolutely everybody, and I am a blocker. But what you can do is let people in so far and then keep them. So it isn't actually about blocking absolutely everybody.
No.
It's about managing.
The healthy boundaries.
And
healthy boundaries. And I think it's another thing that gets flung out there. People are like, love unconditionally. Well, come on, you've got to call out the shit in the bull, because you can't love unconditionally if you're in a domestic abuse situation or a million and one scenarios, or a mental narcissistic person. You can't just love unconditionally.
And I don't.
So I think there's a lot of that gets flung out there, that maybe for people who are even trying to start on their spiritual journey might get that wrong, because you've got to be real. And I've been in some similar situations where I've had to really recognise something and go, no, that's completely wrong. And you've got to call the person out or fling them right out the door. Because you've got to take charge at some point, And I think that's where all the understanding, the healthy boundaries, everything in between it. And recognising, and I think a lot of how I sometimes see things is, we will meet people, I think, that's been sent to show us our lessons, for want of a better word, or we will experience things that have not been, that didn't feel good or didn't feel the best, and they're flung at us, and you've got to like wade your way through it, I suppose, to learn. And that's as much as your spiritual journey and physical life journey as everything else. So but just because sometimes you know the answer doesn't mean that you can just avoid it, or you didn't experience it.
It's sent to you for a reason.
It's sent to you for a reason. Can some people say, oh, well, why did you not notice that? Well, you're the psychic, blah blah blah. And of course.
But then you would be a bit mental. You know, that would be mental behaviour, just to get a gut feeling and chuck everybody out because of that. Do you know what I mean? You do need to go through a path.
Everybody's still got to live their life. And as you say, there's a lot, again, people talk about like, can block these people, their energies up, or this and that. And right, how can we avoid humans?
That's right. That's what you would need to do.
How can you avoid humans? We're in the world with humans. So my answer to that is learn to work with the energy. So many people are empaths. So many people, they physically get drained. Sometimes back in the day, if I was doing a reading, I would actually do nothing on that day apart from a reading, because I'd be thinking,
draining.
Draining. No,
You can do everything. You can do the housework and do everything.
It's a wee bit like, send me healing, okay, right, hoover away, right, I'll do that. Because it is just like learning to drive and things like that. You master it, I suppose, as such. So you can figure out how you can fit it all in. But that's why I try to balance my energy. I'm never wanting to be doing 10 people in a day, all week, every day. No, that's crazy. You want to be linking in with quality for people.
How often do you do it?
I mean, basically, maybe Monday to Friday.
Right.
I have a wee group on a Saturday morning, and a Sunday is my day of doing nothing, absolutely nothing.
No, good. So you look after
but
yourself.
I still try and kind of would never push myself too much. Or if I've got an event coming up, I wouldn't do readings during the day and then go away out and do my event. Because your brain's going to get...
it's emotionally exhausting.
It's going to take your brain right off your shoulders, I think, because and that's, I think, what some people didn't understand as well, how concentrating is with the clairvoyance. I mean, I used to suffer with a lot of migraines, and it's quite a common thing for mediums as well, because you're doing that focusing.
With the energy. I think what you were saying about nursing there as well, or being in, you started off in the medical field of helping people. The alternative therapies, which this is, you don't get in the NHS, you know, so to me you are doing part of that whole job of looking at whether it's got a medical certificate or no. In my opinion, it was alternative therapies that, I'm going to use the word fixed, but nobody's fixed, we're all on a journey, but that's what got me on a path of, actually I'm alright. I'm alright, right? I'm not perfect, but I'm alright. And I have engaged with hypnotherapy, Reiki. I've done the whole clairvoyant, everything, absolutely. And I've got a girl who I speak to off and on, who kind of guides me a wee bit as well. But the hypnotherapy was massive for me, massive. And people ask me about it, and do I recommend it and whatever, and I don't recommend it. What I say is, it worked for me, and I know it doesn't work for everybody, but I would say if you're in a place of you're not getting what you need to fix, what you know can be fixed, you know it can be fixed with the right coaching, guidance, whatever, I would always say try it. It is worth a try. If you're at the lowest of the low, give it a try. And
I've done all these things, I think, as well, but I've never ever had the extra finance. The hypnotherapy courses can be thousands and thousands of pounds, but what I do is kind of similar in a way, but if you want to look at it like that, just because it's all part of the same thing.
That's why I'm saying it.
If you watch some hypnotherapists working, you're a wee bit like, right, what are they actually doing? Me and one of my friends have went and watched
rewiring your brain. That's what you do.
Yeah, exactly. Ali Campbell, we've been to a few of his things. And she's done some courses. So when we end up talking, we end up having different techniques. Sometimes I've went and looked at new things to learn, and then came away and went, right, I'm just a bit better doing what I'm doing. I'm doing what I'm doing anyway. There's no much difference between it. It is all. It's just sometimes on the other side of that is you're no one to keep adding things on. Some people are like, oh, there are this, there are that, there are this, there are that. Right, okay. I'm not saying they've not learned it and they've not done it, but Jesus, it's like sometimes the list gets longer and longer and longer, and they're always away learning something new. And you're just a wee bit like, right, whoa, what is it you actually are doing here?
The only reason that I did say that is purely because it is part of alternative therapies.
Yep.
It's to say it is working with the mind. That is what it is. It's as simple as that. I do think that that anything like that works better for you the more open you are to it. If you're close to it,
what's the point?
Forget it.
Aye. It's a wee bit like Reiki as well. You've just got to let it kind of do its thing, because it'll work on so many different levels, and as the person like given the treatment, it's not really up to us to decide what's to happen to this person. It's up to the Reiki. It's up to them and the Reiki. So you sometimes you're stepping aside to let that go and do what it needs to do. Again, the energy within things. Sometimes they do show me things where I know it's hard to explain, I suppose, or to put into words. But it's a wee bit like, we know we're living a physical life, but then sometimes I see what all the souls are doing on the...
Aye, so I'm going to ask you about this next, right?
On the other kind of realm, if you like, or a wee bit like what happens in dream states and stuff like that.
Aye.
I've met people like that I've known and dreamt about them and then met them. And that's quite scary, daunting, and they've turned up in my real physical life. Usually they became in relationships, so that's quite a bit like, I find that even difficult to talk about because it makes you sound like you're a wee bit bonkers. And
but I always think if you're saying it, you're no.
No, I've
recognise it.
But I've had to explain that, and that for me, I've had even people saying that I've turned up in their rooms at night. And I'm not passed away. They're not passed away. Do you know what I mean? Sounds funny and bad, but I remember years and years ago, like 3 people in one day. I always tell people this. Chapped my door and went, "What were you doing in my room last night?" And I was like, "What?"
See, that is scary purely because...
And I'm like, well, I'm not passed away, but I'm aware that our energy can go away and do whatever. And one of them was like, "Oh, you were giving me healing and you were this and you're that." So I have had the experiences. It's not something that I always share with everybody. I'm kind of sharing it now, it's a wee bit too late, but it's something that inside me is a wee bit like, oh, that's not right. I've researched that. Like some of it's called, like some people call it dream walking, other people call it time jumping, and I don't know.
But you have turned up in people's...
I've turned up, and like 3 people that I hadn't saw for ages all came to my door one day on different days visiting me, going, you could just visit instead of just doing that. And I'm like, what?
See,
and I was unaware of that. Unaware of that.
They must be quite confident in themselves to be able to say that to you, that blasé. I'd have been freaked out my box if that if you had actually appeared in my bedroom. Now I have had, and I'm just going to say this, I don't give a shit anymore. Basically, I've had an angel visit during the night. And usually it is during the night now,
and you can feel that energy.
I think that's totally different to you turning up my bedroom.
Because we know that they're not energetically really connected to the earth, and I am, but I've learned that much, that's why energy is so massive. There's so many topics that you could talk about just with energy that we didn't understand. And I'm like, this was like, I can't even remember if I was doing readings at that time actually. I'm trying to think what year that would have been, maybe the 90s, 99 or something like that, 97, 99. And I was just like they all missed each other by the time they had visited, but by the end of that day, I'm like, they've all turned up the day, you go, oh, hiya, I've not seen you for ages, why did you not just come and speak to me? And I'm like, what, well, you were in my room last night. And I'm like, right, okay. And I've met people and saw their energy before it, and then maybe saw something, and then they've turned up in my life. It's a bit like, no, I'm a wee bit like, I didn't really want that. Why would I want that? And then so it's a bit like, why having to explain that sounds as if you are a bit bonkers, but I know it'll have happened to other people, and it's these kind of things that people didn't talk about.
Or if they do talk about it,
or Americans get away with talking about it, but no, really, if you're Scottish,
we don't talk this crap.
Scottish or British, you can't come out with, oh well, we might be crossing timelines or this or that, or there's parallel universes, and I just.
But Scotland's one of the most spiritual countries in the world. Like our history is reaped in that whole spiritual thing. If you read about it,
I know.
You'll know that. But the visit that I had, the angel didn't speak to me, and it was just, I read about it afterwards. I knew none of this. When it actually happened, I didn't know. No, I didn't know.
So it could have been your guardian angel then?
It had wings, and it didn't. I'm saying it because
they're
it
usually
presented itself.
It was just non-gender.
I couldn't, but I didn't know that. This is what makes it all mental, because I was going,
They're
Like
usually
somebody visited
non-gender.
me last night and I spoke to a spiritual friend about it, and I don't know what it was because I couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl. It just looked so angelic. It could have been a boy or a girl,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And all it did was stand by my bed and just nod at me, and I just went, all right. That's all right. That's me. I'm fine.
Was it massive?
No. It was probably the size of a 12-year-old baby,
Right.
like Lola's size.
Oh,
Aye,
that's
that.
nice.
And that was a good few.
I wonder if
years
that is
ago,
connected to
but-
the child, the kind of. I always get sometimes when people step into my into me getting. I was going to say my room, into my living room because that's usually where I work for. They
come into your living
They come
room?
into like a client comes. Sometimes
Aye.
when as soon as I see them, I'll get a connection with them with the angelic realm. I get that a lot with people who work with children. So it usually ends up I'm connecting to them with the angels, and then I know that they work with children. So it's just with you saying that, it was making me think, I wonder if it was a wee child angel.
Aye, well, I think
Do you know what I
somebody
mean?
said that
It
to
sounds
me,
like it was
but-
a wee, but it was maybe for the. I know you get cherubs, different. So
Aye.
they're from different realms, different. There's a million, there's 1,000 and thousands and thousands. I always just work with the 4 main archangels because it's easier, and I usually tell people to do that because it's mostly recognised. But they pop up everywhere. You get an
Aye.
angel for everything.
Aye, no, I know.
So it
and-
sounds like it's like your wee guardian angel, eh?
Aye,
Oh,
I
it's
can't
nice.
remember. Aye, it did. It made me feel I was
Do you think
already.
it's because part of your healing your childhood?
Aye, I do. Well, there's a couple of reasons I thought. I do
Aye.
think it was to do with my childhood, but also my gran's first baby died at 10 months old, and my gran talked about it, like to me, to the family, our entire lives. She would refer to her as my Auntie Margaret. To the day my gran died, she talked about her first baby that died at 10 months.
Aye.
So I feel like this
There was a
Margaret that I
connection.
never ever knew, I did really actually know,
No,
you know.
aye.
So I just kept thinking it was twofold basically.
Aye,
that
aye,
a
aye.
combination of my childhood
Yeah.
trauma
Yeah.
and
Her. Aye.
appearing.
Yeah.
But I feel, yeah, I'm
And
totally
it's
part
it's,
of
it's
that.
when you can think back to it, you can feel the emotion of that
Aye.
moment. I remember as well one time doing platform, and sometimes I think to myself, it's that stupid doing platform. No, that part being stupid, but I can remember, and I never worked with a mic, and I was using a mic this night, and I was like, oh no. But I remember in clear in my brain when I was talking to somebody, I heard, and these are the things that like put me a wee bit away there that I'm going to say, because I heard in my brain, the divine being is here, and I was a wee bit like, what? Right, what do you mean? And I instantly started getting emotional, and I was just like in the middle of passing a message on to somebody, and I was like, oh wait, now I'm getting
You
told
had
the
to take
divine.
a break.
I'm getting told the divine beings here. Wait a wee minute, and I ended up like, because kind of some of us at the group in that at the table ended up having a wee bubble to ourselves. But I can remember going home that night, sitting in my bed, going and feeling all of that. I was like, what? And it's not like I'm religious, if you know what I mean. I wouldn't diss people's religion,
Aye.
but I'm more about the universe.
Aye, I'm the same.
I didn't mean there's no God or whatever,
I do
but I
think-
feel religion just causes sometimes more problems than brings goodness.
Aye.
It's a different topic, but you know what I mean. I would never diss somebody's beliefs or faith. But I've got faith in the universe, and I've got
Aye.
faith in spirit.
And I do think-
I have got faith.
Aye, exactly.
I have
That's
no
what I say.
faith.
I do
I've
think
no
religion
faith.
is that interpretation of this exact
Exact
same
same.
thing. It's just that we choose not to go down that path.
Yeah.
We choose what works for us
Yeah.
and what we want. See what I'm conscious of time. I've got
I
so
know.
much I want to ask you. See when you are connecting, right? What do you get? Because I get stuff and I can't describe it when people ask me, what do you mean? I've actually stopped talking about it for ages because I just can't even describe it. It's like an overwhelming feeling of knowing something. That's the only way I can describe it. And it's not the same as looking at a picture and getting a gut feeling.
No.
That's not what I mean.
That's
it's
clear
like,
cognizance. That's called clear knowing. So that's where all the clears come into it. So you will get different. So that's a wee bit like how sometimes once I connect, then they just kind of, it's like a block of thinking or talking just gets flung into your mind. So that's how sometimes once I start to connect, I can just be like blah 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 blah, and you're away doing a road for a few minutes. But that's called clear cognizance, means clear knowing.
Right.
So you just know it.
I'll Google that.
Aye. Learn about that. But that's like all the clears. Clear audience, clear sentience is what you feel in your stomach. There's one's for taste, one for touch. I can't remember them off the top of my head. One's funny. But they're the main ones. You're feeling, seeing, hearing.
Right.
So usually what happens is I've found you'll have one main one, which most people usually talk about it being in their gut. So they'll feel things first. And then sometimes, apparently there's a gland here, somewhere in your stomach, that connects it to a thought. So you'll feel it and then it'll connect it to a thought. So something else you can research. But you'll start with all different ways of connecting. Because whatever, we look like big giant, what do you call it, satellite dishes, like we're like aerials that walk around,
Receiving
feeling, receiving and sending and receiving all day. So that's what we do.
So it's
not that unusual. It's a wee bit like filtering it to go, right, oh, what is that? What does, and they'll play with you. Spirit will play with you and code it. It's like the symbolism that they sometimes show you. Well,
I never ignore signs.
That's what they do for me. There'll be a message in absolutely everything.
Aye.
And so
do you hear, like, so
I can hear them. So sometimes if I'm connecting and I'm talking to whoever, sometimes I will hear it clear. And I would say that's something that's maybe
so
just
a voice.
A voice, aye. Well, a voice. It'll just be a voice. That's something I would say is probably quite new, maybe in the past year and a bit. A couple of times I've had my voice change, which is a full different topic, right?
Because they don't come into your body,
which is called transfiguration.
Aye.
Right.
I've done sessions of that as well.
I've always thought I've not really wanted to do that, but a couple of times it's just happened a wee bit, and I've kind of went, right, okay. Or I've heard different. I know like the difference between talking to somebody in spirit or a guide. So sometimes I'll get a guide's voice. They didn't happen. That doesn't happen every day. When I work with people and I work with spirit, like that can seeing things every day or hearing them, that can be a thing. Sometimes it's like they take me with them to show me what they've done here. So sometimes I almost feel like as if I'm them, and then they take me when they show me an image. Or sometimes they might make me feel like I'm the person that I'm reading. So it's all done within the visual. So they can just show me as simple things to, I don't know, you washed the car yesterday. Just
and you can see it in the mind.
I can see it in my mind. I can see them doing them all, and it's just
I cleaned the inside of my car yesterday. It was already cleaning the inside, but I cleaned the inside. I'm not surprised that you know that though.
No, but you know what I mean? I thought I was just pulling out the top of my head. That's the other thing. You think that you're channeling when you're not channeling. You're connecting when you're not connecting. So sometimes you're just having what you're thinking is a chat with somebody, and then you're saying something, and they're like, "Oh, my granny used to say that all the time." And it is, so it's part of like everything.
So you're getting it sometimes, you don't even know you're getting it, like you just said there. So are you ever in a situation then where somebody is within your vicinity, you're no deliberately reading them? Now I know you're talking about you shut off and you do need to shut your energy down. I agree with that as well. You get something and you think, what am I going to do with this? Because I'd need to approach that person as a complete stranger to say it or whatever. Do you ever get that? If you do, do you act on it?
I have done that a few times. I would try not to act on it depending on what the message is.
You got any stories?
But I actually was in, I can't remember, I was in a game shop with my son, one of my sons. I've got 3 sons, 1 daughter. So it was my middle son. So I think it was him. He'll probably, if he watches this, he'll laugh, because I can't remember what shop. It was in Falkirk High Street, a game shop. Went in to buy whatever. The guy that was serving me, God knows what was really going on with him, but I ended up saying to him, come round there the now, and I ended up just going to him, blah blah blah, this is going to be alright, nah. And then he was like, oh, alright, okay.
He'd be pleased with it though.
Aye.
There's nobody that will knock you back.
No. So I've had a few moments like that. I suppose I try not to do that because I'm more like,
you cut it off anyway before that happens.
But in I suppose, as I say, maybe the earlier days, it's a bit like being out there just seeing everything, or just so many things that, like, sometimes if I speak to somebody, I'm just thinking I'm saying something random. I can remember talking to one lassie outside the chemist again and Derry, just, oh, hiya, how are you, blah, blah, blah. Then said something to her, and I was like, oh, that's funny. I said, I just saw you in a wee, like, cowboy girl outfit, because it's just, you think you're not doing nothing. And then it's just like, what? And I'm like, oh.
It's out before you realise.
And I was like, oh, I just saw you in a wee cowgirl outfit there. And she was like, what? And I was like, oh, what? She runs into the chemist and comes back out, and she's just had her photo took with her daughter and her, you know, in the black and white setting, the wee lassie's on a cowboy, and she's all dressed up as a cowgirl.
Mind that was a big thing. Photos. Now just brought that back to me.
So she kind of had taken it to her work to show all them, and it was just so funny. I ended up living in her mum's house. So just as the story goes on, like, you're talking, and I was like, and she's like, oh, where are you living now, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh, that was my mum's house. And it was, so she was just so that, by that point she was like, do you think you were channeling my mum the other now then? And I'm like, well, I don't know, because I just thought, sometimes I think I'm just standing going, hiya, how are you? She wasn't like one somebody, it was just somebody you see in around the area, you say hiya, have a wee chit chat with, and then I was like, oh, I just saw you in that wee cowgirl outfit. And she was like, wait there. And so there's things like
That's
that.
mental. It's no mental, but
I've also experienced things the other side of that, where somebody who is no longer here was calling on me to go and help them.
I was going to ask you about that. That was my next question.
To help them, and they had left the earth plane. So that was something that had a big effect on my life as well. I was really close to Oi's family and his partner at the time, who I still am. So
what did you do in that situation?
I woke up, phoned my friend and went, I think it's happened. And she was like, oh, shut up, then I start your nonsense. And just basically I ran to his house as fast as I could. And I think that for me at that time, I always just imagined it in my brain. It was like, no matter, it could have been earthquakes, no, it's going to happen in Scotland, but there could have been anything that could have stopped me that day. I know I just wouldn't need to have went there. I literally jumped up in the morning and went, right, you all need to do this and this, left all the wains and went to his house, and he had done it.
Oh my God.
And he had, but it was like him the full night talking to me in my brain going, come on, blah blah, and all that. And it is personal, and it's such a big effect, and that's the other side to that, the impact to it, and just
and having to work through that.
And then having to explain to the police why was I there, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like that first on the scene stuff. So there's all that, and it was obviously, it's hugely sad, because you try everything to avoid them not to do that. Like you're hoping that you're managing to convince them that not to do that, and obviously that was.
Did the person, had they been to see you before that actually happened?
No, they were.
You just connected with?
No, they were in my life.
Oh right,
they were my friend's partner.
Right.
They were my friend's partner. We all knew each other for years. We were all like best buds. So we all knew each other really well. There was a kind of group, I suppose you could say, at that point.
So that's the downside of it.
That's a kind of downside to it. Although I suppose I understand that maybe in his mind, maybe I was just the person that was to deal with it, for whatever reason. There was loads of other things that kind of came for that I had kind of asked his friends to come with me that day, and they were all just like, oh, no doing that, tell him, Ken, blah blah blah, because, and then it's a bit too late, obviously really too late.
And I think that is why it is so important, like for me personally, doing what I'm doing now, to have these conversations as well, because
it's real. It's real life. We didn't know who's hanging by a thread.
Aye, and that's just what I was going to say. And a lot of these mental health waiting lists, you know, with NHS.
And that was before COVID.
That was
a long time ago.
And now it's 20 times worse, because they're on their knees. So we do need to know that there is other people that you can go to, albeit you'll pay for it, but to me, it's still another option though, that you don't need to wait on, you know, getting seen by whoever at the NHS before anything happens. You can do your own thing.
Exactly.
And I just think it is.
And I think that's the difference between, maybe some people would go, well, why would you go and see what some people just call you the spooky women? Do you know what I mean? For me, I kind of suppose, like you were saying, what would you call yourself? I suppose in a way I would call myself an energy worker as well, even though I know I'm clairvoyant, etc., and I'm mediumship and I use tarot and blah 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 and all the rest of it.
But you are an energy worker.
I'm an energy worker, and I've got to recognise that within myself. Or some people call you a light worker, whatever. It doesn't matter. But you know you're here to fulfil. And does that mean that I've that I didn't have bad days? No. That means that I have bad days, that I can't get out of my bed, and that I cry, or be greeting for hours. I have them just the same. And so it's not like, but the difference being when I have them, I'm more able now to go, right, you need to do this, you need to do this. Maybe like years and years ago, I would have been lying in my bed for 3 weeks. And now I'm a wee bit more able to go, no, wait a minute, this is what you do now. And so there's a lot.
What you can also do, I mean, paying for it isn't even what you have to do either. You can actually do your own research, because everybody is capable of connecting.
I sometimes say to people, like, that's your homework, you go away and learn that, you go away and look at that. You're wanting people, maybe to come to me, but I'm not wanting them to be coming to me for the rest of their life. You're wanting them to be able to go away and go, right, that's what you need to do. Some people just phone me and go, Monique, I need to see you. I don't even know if I'm needing a reading or if I'm needing Reiki, but I just know I feel better. And I'm like, all right, okay. So I'm well aware of all that, and I'm not somebody who would go, again, some mediums say you can only get a reading once a year, and I just think, there'll be a reason for that, but who makes up these rules? I just say to people, if you feel you need a reading, then that's when you need a reading. But obviously, no, if you've just had in 2 weeks ago.
That's pointless. No.
So some people will leave the door and go, right, when can I come back? Right, well, okay, you've just had your reading. We need to get time. So I'm not somebody who's going to just be unrealistically going, oh yes, just come back for a reading. You can't. That's not what it's about.
No, I get that as
well. It's not about, my prices are fair. I'm not somebody who, again, there's some mediums out there that the price of reading is absolutely ridiculous.
I know, I've seen that.
And it's just like, come on.
So, see, I've just to finish on, if there was something or some sort of direction you could point people in that are trying to get on a spiritual path, a spiritual journey, is there anything that you would recommend as a first point of reference or point of contact or whatever? Like, what would your advice be for somebody really struggling mentally? We're obviously pro the whole connecting with your spirituality. What would you say?
Don't ignore signs. I think would be one thing. Try and meditate. Although that's the biggest thing that people kind of say, oh, I can't. Well, you need to just do 5 minutes a day. Because it's no about being right or wrong.
And listen to yourself.
Listen to yourself. Listen to your own voice in your mind. Trust your gut. Keep yourself grounded if you can. Try and stay calm.
Grounding, that's a good practice.
Grounding is a good practice. Centering yourself. If it's a wee bit, something I used to say all the time that I've had to practice myself, don't let your externals affect your internals, because that's a lot of what's just distraction to us. But that takes time. Just chaos in life, or getting caught up in other people's dramas. But being yourself, listening to yourself, listening to your soul. If you're sad for a reason. You need to kind of learn to figure it out and listen and deal with it. But it's a never ending
a journey.
It's a never ending.
But once
you're
on it, it's much better, definitely. Right, we've got about 40 seconds left. Thank you so much for doing that. I'm so grateful. It's been amazing. I know it always does.
It's like, thank you for having me. Bye.